Then in the opportunity category, all of these new media outreach possibilities for you, the whole digital revolution.
It's extraordinary. This is such an amazing time to be involved in any media enterprise and to be in public television at this point. It's just extraordinary. We work so hard. You look at Ken's great work and the many years that he's worked on his various projects, and then you broadcast them and it reaches a wide audience because we are, an over-the-air broadcaster. We touch 99% of households across this country. But to have a deeper life for the work that we have, to be able to have programs available through streaming video on your computer or available through iPod or available through cell phone distribution or through video on demand through cable companies, there's just so many ways now that material can be sent out. And for us it's exciting because we see the opportunity to have our work in places where people can access it when and where they want it. And I think particularly for children, particularly in the schools, to have some of our great documentaries available that teachers can access whenever they want it, to really bring education to life. I would think if I was a history teacher, the opportunity to use some of Ken's work in the classroom just would change the way that education. I met someone since I've been here that was telling me a story, in fact last night, about using Eyes on the Prize in his classroom and how he had been working with his kids over the course of the last week talking about the civil rights movement. One small clip from that documentary, and he said you could see it in the eyes of his students that suddenly they got it. They understood what it must have felt like to be in this country at that point in time.
And that has to be so personally gratifying for you.
It's amazing. Most of broadcast television is skywriting. It disappears at the first breeze, the first zephyr, and we've been committed from the very beginning to making sure that it had an afterlife. And now this technological revolution that's overtaking us permits us, as Paul has said, to have all these other opportunities and to reach people. And everywhere I go, I meet teachers, first of all, who say, I use the Civil War, I use Lewis and Clark, I use baseball, I use jazz in the classroom. And you just feel like it's not the obsession that the others have with ratings and shares. It's our obsession with actually touching people and making a real difference in their lives. And when you get that kind of one-on-one feedback continually, you know you made the right professional decision of where your home was.
One of the hallmarks of PBS is providing a wonderful, open, free environment for world-class filmmakers like the man sitting next to you, Paula. I'm going to let you brag about him a little bit before we let him tell about this extraordinary new work.
Well, I think one of the great joys for me being in public broadcasting is the opportunity to work with Ken. Ken is really America's storyteller. He is truly our great documentary filmmaker, and his stories are so extraordinary, and I'm always excited whenever I have the opportunity to spend a little time with him, not just to talk about the projects that he's working on, but what he's thinking about moving forward, because you look at the rich legacy of his work, whether it's the Civil War, Brooklyn Bridge, or Lewis and Clark, or jazz, or baseball, or his upcoming series, which I know you're going to talk about. It's really, it captures the story of this country in such a profound way. And we just have made an agreement that Ken will be working on public television. We will be his home until 2022.
2022, okay. That's 15 years,
15
right?
years.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
we renewed our vows. It's very much like that.
And it's the reason that we did it is a couple reasons. One is that we wanted him to know that we wanted him on public television, but we also wanted him to have the freedom to be able to think ahead and to really map out the kinds of projects that he wants to work on in the future, knowing that his home is on public television and that we're there for him for the long term.
You make a good point, because these works are years in the making, right? I mean, this new one was what, 6 years?
6+ years, and it'll be 7 by the time it's broadcast.
Okay, let's go back. Your first work with PBS was back in '81, right?
The Brooklyn Bridge.
The Brooklyn Bridge. You were born in Brooklyn.
I was born in Brooklyn. I never lived there, but I always was drawn to this story, and it's one of the amazing stories of the 19th century when we think, and most of our popular attention in history is focused out here in the West, where the mythology of the cowboy and all the Western expansion and all the Indian fighting, all of the things that are part of our popular imagination, really a lot of how America is now corporate and urban and industrial was happening and symbolized in this amazing story of the building of the most beautiful bridge in the world. You couldn't tell a Hollywood producer, sell them on the idea that this is how it was made. And I fell in love with this story, and I looked like I was 12 years old. And fortunately, public television was willing to buy the Brooklyn Bridge from me.
And then you went on to all of these wonderful works, with the Civil War up until now probably was the highlight, the highest rated. Is that right, Paula?
You know, it's funny. I don't know actually how it works. The Civil War was the highest rated, but baseball had more viewers.
Oh,
and
okay.
I think it may have been the length of baseball that permitted more people to tune in for various parts of it, and Lewis and Clark as well.